I love you. And then, and she slams it against his goddamn, and the ankle chat goes, the foot just goes, he goes, yeah! And she's like, shh, it's all gonna be over soon. Just one more. And he goes, and he goes, he's just screaming, chat. So those legs, he ain't using those legs anytime soon. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content on my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games, I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video.
Please don't do it.
It's for the best.
Misery.
My scene by scene breakdown chat of Rob Reiner's 1990 horror thriller classic chat, Misery, adapted from Stephen King's original novel of the same name. Now, chat, as you guys know, I like to open these up by asking you a very simple question. And that question being, how many of you guys have seen Misery, chat? The 1990 Kathy Bates, James Caan starring film. That's what I want to know. Thank you, Too Tall. Thank you, Chris Harris. I have. There you go. Not in its entirety, says Stranger. Welcome, by the way, Stranger. Hope you're doing very well. Good to see you. Nia Brownie. Hey, Christopher. Hey, Juice again. How you doing? All right, thank you for the 3 biddies. We are doing great. I am doing great. Chat seems to be doing pretty goddamn well. Just in the middle of my review for Misery. I'm asking people. You can answer this for me, Nia Brownie. Have you seen Rob Reiner's Misery? That's what I desire right now. Film Freak, I saw it 3 years ago, thought it was great. That's good. I got it. Watched it the first time this year. Oh, good. That's kind of a brownie alert. Indeed, the alert just went off. Deadpool, misery. Misery. That's what you've chosen. See, Deadpool knows. Oh, Toots, I remember when Family Guy did a parody of this. Yeah, they did do a parody of the movie. My ankles having Dean scene was, that scene. Ooh, we'll get to it, chat. I also compare that scene to what happens in the book as well, because I've done both. I've seen the movie and I've read the book, chat. Saw the movie first and then I read the book. I actually prefer the movie, but I like the book nonetheless, chat. It's a very good book, very interesting book. Hardbone, yes, you freaked me out. My college roommates, I saw a parody episode on Sonic Boom, and oh my God, they did. Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking. I've seen a clip from that. I was like, oh, this is Misery. I have seen that, where he wants to write Sonic fan fiction and like have Sonic have Sonic's opinion on it. Like, I have all this fan fiction of all your adventures. It's like, holy shit. It was very much a critique, very much a parody of the Sonic fan base in general, chat, and just how voracious they are about writing and creating Sonic fan fiction, chat. You already know about it, chat. I've been reading Sonic High School for quite a bit, chat. You know, the erotic Sonic fan fiction chronicles that I sometimes do on my channels, chat. I bring that to you, and that episode parodied that. Oh, that's funny. So I can see even Castle Rock's a prequel. It's interesting. I wonder about that. Yeah, because I know that Misery was in the season. Is that series still going on, or did that get canceled? I'm just wondering. When will you learn? That's consequences. I can't reach that high pitch that kid does. I can't do it. Chat. Charisma, good to see you. Welcome to stream. So some of you have seen it. That's cool. I'm glad, chat. I'm glad, because I saw this movie years ago. It must have been like 12 or 13 when I first saw it. And I just remember just being so captivated by it, chat. And I think the big reason, not only because it's a very simple premise. It has really good cinematography, chat. You have great performances, not only from Kathy Bates, of course, and James Caan, who play the 2 titular leads, chat. But also you got Richard Farnsworth as Buster. Sheriff Buster does a great job. The chemistry that he has of his wife, Virginia, chat, is so great. It's a little humor. A little humor in the movie during this very kind of dark story, chat. I love that. You got the late, or not, no, is Lauren Bacall, I think Lauren Bacall still. Let me make sure Lauren Bacall, is she dead? I want to make sure, she is died. She died a while, but we had the late, great Lauren Bacall, chat, as Paul Sheldon, chat, James Caan, literary agent in this film. Just overall a great movie, chat, a great cast, small cast, but a great cast, chat, and they all do their job so excellently. But the thing that always appealed to me about this movie, growing up, chat, and just thinking about it and seeing it so many times, is how this could happen. There is no doubt about it. Like, something like this could absolutely happen. And it's one of those scenarios, those horses, like, what are you most afraid of, chat? And we all have our various fears. But this is one of my fears, chat, where you're incapacitated. You whatever. Say you broke your leg, you cannot walk, chat. You've been critically injured, and you're stuck somewhere. You're stuck somewhere, and the person who saved you, your savior, is also completely insane, chat, and they're keeping you there as their prisoner. And there's been scenarios like this in real life, maybe not as similar, but for example, chat, like, you know about these guys that kidnap these women, and, you know, they hold them in their homes or whatever, and they brainwash them, chat, and they keep them there as prisoners. They have fucking sons and daughters with them, chat. They have children with them, and then they escape you like a decade later, or, you know, or if not longer. It's like, this is a scenario that can absolutely happen, Chad. I think that's what I liked about it. And the other thing I liked about, Chad, it's a critique, I think, on fan obsession. How it can go too far, Chad. And I think maybe Stephen King, because, you know, he was at the height, Chad, of his popularity when he wrote this book, of course. And I know that he was inspired, apparently. And I did my research on this, Chad. He thought of the idea from a dream he had while flying back, I think, from London to the States. And he thought this whole idea of this author who is kidnapped by this insane fan. So I think there's a little bit of Stephen King and Paul Sheldon, chat, and James Caan's Paul Sheldon. I don't know, it just really appealed to me, because we see it, like, there have been lesser versions of Misery. Like, let me say, you've kind of seen the Misery story play out, chat, if you've seen The Fanatic, for example. Very similar. You know, it has the DNA of it, chat. I wouldn't say exactly. I wouldn't say it's as good as something like Misery, but it has the DNA baked in there. You can find the strands, chat. I think it's a very human story about obsession and mental illness, and how those things can go too far sometimes, and it can lead to really destructive consequences. So I just love this film. And of course, you know, Kat, give you a brief background, chat. Very interesting, actually. Movie was a huge commercial and critical success. It was made for $20 million, made $60 million worldwide. The character of Paul Sheldon, chat, which, you know, King is always described as a very reactionary character. They're very much, you know, secondary to the main villain of the film, Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates. And a lot of, like, Rob Reiner and the producers, they went to some of the biggest names at the time to have these people play Paul Sheldon. And all these actors passed on it, chat. Originally, Rob Reiner went to William Hurt, went to him twice, Chet, after he got several notes from some other actors. William Hurt didn't want to do it because he didn't want to play a reactionary character. He wanted to be the character that causes the action, Chet. Went to Kevin Kline, Michael Douglas, Harrison Ford, Dustin Hoffman, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Richard Dreyfuss, Gene Hackman, and Robert Redford, who all turned down the role, until he eventually settled on James Caan, who does a terrific job, Chet. I mean, Kathy Bates gets all the credit because she's incredible in the movie. But James Caan does a very great job of just playing the character like, what the fuck? Of just reacting to all the crazy shit that's happening around him, chat. And you just feel sorry for him. And to a degree, you feel sorry for Annie Wilkes as well. But James Caan does an amazing job in this movie. There's no question about it. Well, Venture, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well. And then, of course, there was only one person that they wanted to play Annie Wilkes, and that was Kathy Bates. She was the first choice. Relatively unknown. She had done several films before that. But Rob Reiner said, I think she could bring it because she can start out initially seeming like, kind of hokey but well-meaning and maybe not all there, a little aloof, you would say, and that kind of eases you in a false sense of calm, chat. But then, he sees how bombastic she can be, like in some of her other roles. He's like, that's what I need. Someone can go from 0 to a fucking 100 in the span of a goddamn second. And that's what Kathy Bates does in this movie so effectively, chat. Because initially, like, she's very nice, and then, boy, you say something that'll get her mad, chat, and she doesn't get mad, she doesn't get annoyed. No, she gets fucking furious. And it's a danger to everywhere in the environment. Anyone that's in her fucking eye line, chat. And I love that. In her peripheral vision, she'll get mad at you too. And I just love it for that. And of course, it was nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards. Kathy Bates is what won her Oscar. She was surprised by it, chat, when she won. Overall, I just adore this film. You can already expect what my rating will be. I read the book years later. Really enjoyed the book, chat. Really enjoyed the book. But like a lot of Stephen King adaptations, not all, but quite a few of them, I liked the movie better. Not to say that the book was bad, but there's something about it. I think Rob Reiner really managed to tap into this weird feeling we get about Annie Wilkes as a character where he did a great. I think the book doesn't do as great a job of having the reader or audience sympathizing with her because she's very much a monster throughout the entire book. Where in this one, we see. I mean, there's a scene in the movie where we're like, all right, fuck this bitch. There's a scene where it's like, no, fuck her. But there's other scenes early in the film where it's just like, all right, I can kind of see sympathizing with her, empathizing with her. She suffers from depression, Chad, and mental illness. But then there's another thing. It's like, oh, no, you've gone way too far. And I kind of like that the movie made you question what your opinion is on Annie Wilkes. Again, that's what makes it so interesting, in my opinion. Did such a great job. Whereas the book is very much, she's crazy. She's fucking crazy even from the get-go, Chad. Within the first couple chapters, don't goddamn trust her in any capacity, Chad. But I love both. I love both. I highly encourage people right now. I'm giving this a glowing goddamn review already. But if you really just want to see a really well-made horror thriller, Chad, with like a hell of a cast doing all great job, Chad. Whatever the capacity that they're in, just doing a really good job. Cannot recommend highly, Chat Misery. It's my favorite Stephen King adaptation of all time. It's so goddamn good. But now, Chat, Sissy Man, I'm doing very well, man. Happy to review one of my favorite movies of all time. Very, very good. In case I missed you before, Chat, welcome to stream. I hope your Wednesday evening is treating you very well. It's Hump Day, Chat. Cheers and salute to Hump Day. We're halfway through the work week. Happy to have you here. But, chat, my friends, let's get to the nitty-gritty details, chat. We open up in a small country town in Colorado, chat, and we see commercially successful author Paul Sheldon. He is finishing the last touches on his novel, chat. Okay, he's probably best known, chat, for writing the Misery novel series. Takes place in the late 19th century, chat. Huge commercial successes. Critics, kind of like romance period piece novels, chat. Big fucking fan base, but he's kind of sick of, writing misery novels, chat. This is his first novel that he's written for himself, and he's really happy about it, really satisfied with himself, chat. Thank you, Darkside, for the biz. This movie is a metaphor for fanfic writing. Yes, that too. It's kind of funny, like, even Kathy Bates' character, she's like, well, I'm writing fan fiction, kind of. She's talking to Sheriff Buster later on in the movie. He's like, oh, okay. Kind of passive. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then we see what leads to that, chat. It was a ruse. It was a facade, chat, because she kidnapped Paul Sheldon. We're not that part of the movie yet. But he's got his little traditions, chat. He's a very superstitious author. He always goes to the Silver Creek Lodge, chat, in Colorado, the small town in Colorado. Very nice lodge, good reviews, chat. They're very attentive to their attendance, chat. And he's been writing this novel for the past, a little over a month, I'd say. They say like 6 to 7 weeks he's been there, chat, been enjoying himself. And he's got his little accoutrements right there, chat. Got his bottle of champagne, has his one cigarette, chat, because he quit smoking. He quit smoking, only allows himself one cigarette every time he finishes a novel, chat. And he finishes that goddamn thing, has a question mark at the end. The end? We don't know, chat. But he puts it in his satchel, which he carried around when he first started writing all of his novels, chat, when no one took him seriously. And he cracks open that goddamn bottle of champagne. Pure, what's the fuck? I'm like Kathy Bates in the movie. I forgot what Pure Nuan, or what the hell it's called, chat. He's drinking that champagne, pops the goddamn cork, and he enjoys a nice drag of that cigarette, chat. No filter on that cigarette, chat. No filter on that cigarette. Steve, thank you so much. Welcome to stream, my friend. Hope you're doing very well. So he starts smoking, chat. He finishes that bottle of champagne, and champagne can get you fucked up, chat. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful when you're drinking, because it's sweet and it could trick you. But he says, "Time to leave," and he gets in his car. Chat. He gets in his car. Very icy, very snowy in Colorado, Chad. I don't know why he went there in the middle of winter. Inspiration, I suppose. But he gets in his goddamn car, Chad, 1965 Mustang, okay? And he starts driving down this snowy Colorado road, Chad. And he's satisfied. He's got his fucking manuscript right at his side. Nothing can be better. But oh no, it starts snowing. Chad. And it gets a little rough. He puts the window wipers on, puts the windows wiper on, Chad. That's not helping, Chad. It's just getting worse. And the road has not been iced, which is bullshit, by the way. They would absolutely have fucking salt trucks there and doing all that shit. They'd be salting the goddamn roads, but apparently it's the holidays. No one was doing that, chat. And all the blizzard gets even worse, and he starts to lose control of the car. You should put fucking chains on your goddamn tires, Paul Sheldon. That's what you should have done. Now, you've lived in Buffalo, New York. That's what I would told you to do, but he didn't do it, chat. He wasn't living in Buffalo, New York at the time. And so As he makes the journey, chat, from good old the Silver Creek Lodge to New York every time, chat, every time. So he's used to this path, but this time it's just too blustery, too snowy. And oh no, he flings himself, he loses control of the car, chat, and he flings himself off the road, chat. And he doesn't have a seatbelt on, idiot. And he's like slamming around the goddamn car, chat. You hear all his bones snapping, his legs just giving, they're going every which way. Oh, it's a goddamn mess. It's a massacre. And the car just slowly slides down this hill, chat, until it comes to a stop. Thank you, Austin. Thank you so much for the host, my friend. Appreciate that. It's Pinot Noir, right? And what is fucking Kathy Bates called the champagne? Pinot Guignon or something like that. It's ridiculous. I'm trying to remember the champagne name because it's very important towards the end of the movie. But he crashes right there, chat, and he's like, he's all fucked up in the car and everything. But chat, there's someone outside of the car, and they get a goddamn crowbar, chat, and they get the fucking door open, chat. They manage to slamming that crowbar in the door, but they manage to bust it on open. And this woman, chat, or this rescuer, I mean, we assume it's a woman, drags him out. And he's all bloodied, and he's not even breathing anymore, chat. It's like his chest has collapsed in on himself. Omelette du fromage. That's it. That's it, Knife Brownie. Omelette du fromage. That's the champagne name. She's a sturdy woman. Goddamn right she is. And she drags him out. She's not breathing. Goes. And she performs the breath of life. And she gives him breath of life smooches. She's like, just smooching until he comes back to life, chat. And she takes the manuscript binder, puts it in her jacket, chat. And she hefts James Caan on her shoulders, chat. And she walks back to her lodge, to her abode, chat. Now at this point, let me get something up and chat, what's this? Hold on, guys, just making sure everything's looking good. Okay, cool. Making sure it's good. But then, chat, we cut back to her lodge, and Paul Sheldon, he is in a goddamn daze, chat, and all he's hearing, he sees bad wallpaper. He's in a small room, and he just hears this over and over again. I'm your biggest fan. Oh, those are words he will learn to fear, chat, especially towards the end of the movie. I'm your biggest fan. You know, I just love the Misery novels, chat. And eventually, he finally comes to. Just like, and we were introduced to Kathy Bates, chat. He's at the Wilkes farm, chat. Annie Wilkes is his caretaker. She's explaining everything that happened to him. I dragged you from your car. I saw what you were doing. I was like, oh no, I gotta help this guy. And I brought you here. And just lo and behold, I couldn't believe it. It was Paul Sheldon, my favorite author of all time. He's just complete fucking out of it. Stealth Kisses, very much Stealth Kisses. I gave you life. You give me the lovin'. It might end up being that way towards the end of the movie. But, he's just so in a daze, but eventually, she starts talking to him and everything. He starts to become more aware, chat, and she's explaining the situation. There was a terrible blizzard 2 days ago. He's like, 2 days ago? He's like, oh my God, why aren't I in a hospital? And she says, I couldn't risk taking you there. The roads were completely closed. The telephone lines have been down. I had to bring you back here. It was closer. And he says, oh, thank you so much. He's like, I did the best that I could. I am a nurse. I'm a trained nurse. And here, I'll show you what I did. And he has like a broken arm. He's got scratches all across his face. Then she reveals what his legs look like. And it's, oh my God, they're like purple sausages at this point, chat. She unveils them, and they're all just the bones and everything are all sticking. They were sticking out and stuff. And she's all layered them up, chat. Got these braces on him too. He's like, Jesus. She says, it's not as bad as you think. I mean, I heard your bones moving inside your legs, and you got like a broken fibula, and all the fibulas are broken, chat. Legs like he's got noodle legs. He's got Muppet legs at this point, chat. Like swollen purple Muppet legs. It's pretty goddamn bad. And Wilkes doing the creepy hand. He's pretty much, you're so smooth. It's just a genius. And she's like, I did the best I could. Once the roads open up and once the phone lines get in, I'll make sure that the hospital brings an ambulance to you and they can take you in. And Paul is like, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And, she's just going on and on and on how much she loves him as a writer. Chat, and how she's a huge fan of all the Misery books, and I noticed that you were writing something else. He's like, yeah, I was writing something else at the time, something that's not Misery related. She's like, oh, well, I can't wait for your new Misery book. And he's like, I'm sure you can't wait, I'm sure. And then she starts getting a little weird, chat. Starts getting a little weird at this point in the movie, where she's like, yeah, I used to just spend my time going up to your cabin and looking at you. It's like, he's like, huh? Like when someone says, I've been going to your cabin, I'd see your light on, I just sit out there for hours just thinking about all the wonderful literary creations that you were making. And I'd be like, and he's playing it, he's like, oh, that's so nice of you. Like, he's not getting like, what the fuck do you mean you've been watching me? He's keeping it on the down low, Che. He's just like, well, listen, this lady saved me. She seems okay, maybe a little out there, but I'm just gonna let her talk. That's fine with me. She's taking care of me. Just let's let sleeping dogs lie. That's what he's thinking right now. That's what he's thinking right now. And he also, his mind turns back to his manuscript, chat, and we get a flashback sequence when he's at his publisher's office in New York City. And talking, and played by Lauren Bacall, chat, the late great Lauren Bacall, an amazing actress, chat. A beautiful actress too. And she's going on about like, listen, I know you want to write this new book and everything, but misery sells. He's like, yeah, and that's why I decided to kill her, because in his latest novel, chat, the Misery's Child, she's dead at the end. She dies. And, the publisher is just like, well, you're doing this for the critics. The critics haven't liked his books in years, chat. They're sick of goddamn Misery. But the book's still so very well. He has a very demanding fan base. He's like, I just wanted to, listen, if I didn't kill her, I'd be writing her forever. I wanted to write something for me. And that's why I'm going up to Colorado. So this is like a flashback like a couple months ago. And we see that he has the satchel. And the publisher's like, why'd you have that? What is that? And she's like, well, I found this when I was, going through my closet. And it's like, this is what I was carrying around my first few manuscripts when I was, a starving writer. And I thought, figured, hey, this is kind of like I'm being born anew in a way. So I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to put my manuscript in there once I'm done, head back to New York. She's like, all right, well, you let me know how the book turns out. Of course, I am your publisher. We'll publish whatever you write, Paul. We'll publish over. She's like, thank you. But he's just kind of done with Misery at this point, chat. But fucking Kathy Bates doesn't know that. Annie Wilkes doesn't know that, chat. Now we cut, chat. And, the publisher, Lauren Bacall, she's concerned because Paul Sheldon, he's been gone for like a couple of days. Usually he's back in New York by this time. And if he wasn't, he'd be calling either her office or be calling his daughter, who's currently in college at this point. And she hasn't heard anything. No one's heard anything from him, not even from Paul's ex-wife. And she calls the sheriff's department, chat. Buster. He has all of his official names, chat. He's like, I'm head of the police union. I'm the sheriff. I have one deputy. His deputy, funny enough, chat, is his wife, which I love. His horny old wife, chat. She just wants to constantly have sex with him, chat. He's like, no sexy times now, okay? I'm on the clock. We're on the clock. It's like, oh, goddamn, nothing happens here. It's fine. And he's talking to the publisher, and she's just saying, I haven't heard from Mr. Sheldon in quite some time, and I feel stupid for calling. He's like, no, don't feel stupid for calling. Listen, I'll put him through our system, and I'll check back with you if we find anything, okay? His system being a goddamn sticky note. Yeah, it's a sticky note, and he puts it on the back of his wall filled with all of these other sticky notes. But Buster, he's a man of his word, chat. She's a horny broad, chat. She's always having the hot, sweaty sex of everybody. But Buster's a man of his word, chat. He's going to absolutely investigate this. And so he goes to the Silver Creek Hotel, chat, where Paul Sheldon often goes, and to do all of his writing. The manager of the establishment, chat, he can't say enough good things about Paul Sheldon. Paul Sheldon. He's a very quiet customer, always coming in there. He works for several weeks, and he heads on back. Haven't heard a peep from him, and I hope he's doing okay. And he's like, Buster's like, I hope so too. And then, chat, when he's on the road with his wife, he takes the pathway from the Silver Creek Lodge down the road that Paul Sheldon would probably most likely take that goes to the town, then can take it again on the main highways. And he notices his wife is just so horny, she starts grabbing his inner thigh and just starts rubbing him down there. He's like, now's not the time. When you're in the car, you're my deputy, not my wife. And she's like, well, I'd rather be in bed with the sheriff right now, goddammit. I love their back and forth chat. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But then he notices some trees. Looks like they've been snapped, like they've been severed. She's like, wait, stop the car. And she stops the car, and he goes over to the branches of this like several trees. It looks like something like hit them very, very hard, and snapped them recently. And she's, the wife is like, Virginia, she's, well, must have been just the snowfall. That's probably what it was. And he's like, yeah, could be. And Buster, he goes down the snowbank, chat, but it's just too deep for him to go down there. It's up to his goddamn waist. He can't move. He's an old man. He can't do it like he used to, chat. And, Virginia knows. She always talking about it. And eventually he goes back up there, and she's like, what are you thinking? He's like, I guess we're not going to find out until the snow falls, but if his car is down there, we have to wait until it eventually thaws. And so they head back up there, chat. Eventually, we cut back to Annie Wilkes and Paul Sheldon. Annie Wilkes, she's always going on about fucking Paul and how great he is, how she respects his mind, how he's a genius, chat, how his novel is like the Sistine Chapel itself. And he's living up to it. He's enjoying the compliments. Any writer does. Anyone loves a little smoke blow up their ass, chat. There's no question about it. But you know, he's like, well, you know what? You've been so kind to me. Seriously, I really appreciate it. I have a new book, you know, I got a new manuscript, and oftentimes, you know, I only let my publishers write it and people rescue me from a snowstorm. And he's like, oh, you fooler, you. And she's like, yeah, I'll happily. I can read it. He's like, of course, go ahead and read it. She's like, oh, thank you so much, Paul. I'm sure it's the most beautiful thing you've ever written yet. And she goes ahead and she reads it, Chet. She reads it, about 30 pages in. And we cut to the next day. And she's making a little soup for him, Chet. Making a little soup, a little tomato soup, classic soup. Nothing wrong with that, Chet. And she's looking a little downcast, Chet. Her disposition has changed. And she goes, well, Paul, you know, I know I'm only 40 pages into your book right now. And he's like, yeah, what do you think? And she's like, well, I mean, it's not my place to question you. He's like, no, it's okay. I mean, you got any criticisms or something? He's like, well, Paul, I do have a criticism. It's just the swearing. And he's like, well, I can understand some people not like swearing, but my characters, they're slum kids, they're street kids. They typically talk that way. I mean, I was a slum kid. I grew up poor, and we all talk that way. And she's like, oh, Paul, not everyone talks that way. And he goes, well, I'm sure not all people do, but that's how I talked, and that's how my friends talk, how we talk. Well, she says, well, people don't talk that way, Paul, not here. It's not like I'm going down to the feed store and saying, Bill, can you get me some of that effing pig feed? And Harry, can you put some goddamn shit in my back of my car? And while she's just flipping out, the soup is just going on the bed. And he's like, whoa. She's like, now look what you made me do. And she's like, oh. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. I just get a little passionate about these things. Paul, I'm just a fan. He goes, uh-huh. Oh, that's good. Actually, everyone said fuck at least once. I know. Well, apparently not. Annie Wilkes never said those bad words, those dirty, birdie words. None of those words, Chad. Excuse me, sir, can you slice me a pound of motherfucking cheese, bitch? Exactly. It's like, whoa. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm just going to go clean it up. And he's like, okay. And then it's the next day, Chet, and she's really fucking happy, Chet. She's really fucking happy because, you know, Paul, he's sleeping and everything, and he wakes up to a and it's like, oh no, the sex has happened, Chet. She's on top of him. No. No. You know, there's a pig right next to his bed, and he's like, what the hell is that? And it's like, oh, this is my pig, Misery, named after your beautiful creation. He goes, hello, Misery. And he picks a snort at him and everything. And she goes, oh, Paul, by the way, look what I got. And it's the newest novel, Chad, Misery's Child. They just got him there in Colorado. The printing just started happening, so producing them all around the country. And he goes, oh, that's great. Hey, so you went into town to get that? And she goes, oh, yeah, I went into town and, you know, but sadly, the roads are still too dangerous, though, to go to the hospital. Those are still blocked off at the time. So I did able to get to town, get some supplies. Also called that publisher lady of yours and also contacted your daughter and let them know that you're doing okay. My phone lines are still down. He's like, okay. Yeah, well, you let me know when those roads are open. I really want to just talk to my daughter. It's her birthday today. She goes, oh, you know, I just can't wait to read this book, like not even thinking about all that, Chad. Just like always making up all these excuses. Interesting. Chris Hansen, help! Exactly. Always making up these goddamn excuses, chat. Kingpin welcomes Robert, did a great job with this movie. He absolutely did. Kingpin, no question. And so he goes, all right, well, let me know. She's like, I will, but I just got to read this book right now, Paul. I've only read the first page, and I've read it just several times over. It's so beautiful. It's what's that fancy church in Europe? He's like, the Sistine Chapel? Yeah, but better. And she goes upstairs, chat, and she starts a reading. And he's like, all right. And he falls asleep, chat. And then it's later in the evening, chat, and all of a sudden he feels like there's a presence near him or something, like at the foot of his bed, chat. And then he sees her, chat, and she's like, you dirty bird. And he's like, Annie, are you okay? He's like, what did you do? He's like, what's wrong, Annie? He's like, you killed her. You killed her. And he's like, Annie, you mean Misery? He's like, yes, Misery. You took my misery from me. He's like, Annie, it's the 19th century. Women often die in childbirth. She's like, no, that's not good enough. You killed my misery. And she's just grabbing hold of the bed. She's slamming it back, like lifting up, slam back down. His legs are all like, he's screaming and shit like that. She's like, oh, you killed my misery. And she runs to the other side of the room, chat, grabs like this like, I don't know, this wooden plant holder. She throws the fucking plant off the thing, Chad. She's like, he's like, Annie, please. And she's like, you dirty bird. And she slams it against the top of his head, Chad, right above his head, and just splinters into all these pieces and everything. And she's like, I just can't be near you right now, Paul. I just can't be near you right now. And she leaves the room, chat. And she gets in her fucking car and she just drives. Oh, before she leaves. And she's like, I just can't be near you right now. And she stops at the foot of the door, chat. She turns around. I want to let you know something, Paul. I didn't call your publisher. I didn't call your daughter. They don't know what happened. No one knows what happened. And you're going to stay here forever. Because anything happens to me, the same will happen to you. Because if I die, you die. And she leaves. And I'm like, holy fuck. Lady Just Go fanfiction done, then post your fanfic with everybody else. Exactly. See, if that existed, if she had the internet chat, she'd be very happy. He'd be very happy, but he's like, oh man, he suspected, chat, but now it's confirmed, and he's like, oh, he's panicking at this point, chat. But the thing is, I love the situation because he can't move. His legs are so fucked up, chat. His arm is in a sling, and he's been taking these goddamn pills, which I'm like, what are these? Because he's like, oh, it's like some off-brand thing that's been made illegal now. You can't even buy him anymore. And she's been popping these fucking pills inside of him. She's probably getting addicted at this point, and it's for his pain. You killed my Sonic original character. Very true, Austin. So she fucking leaves. Shane's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here, chap. But how's he gonna do it? So he crawls out of the bed, and the thing is like, if I can't move my legs at all. They're literally bandaged. They have the bracers on him, and so he's like, oh, I have to do it. And he moves his legs out of the bed, chat. Boom, hit the floor. He goes, no! And it's just the shocking, just sheer. Like, imagine if you had a broken leg, chat. For those of you who had a broken leg in your life. Like, I've never had a broken bone. I broke some of my toes way back in the day, but but you don't really get a cast for like a broken toe or broken toes or anything like that, chat. But I imagine people that broke their leg, imagine you're sitting in your bed and there's a fucking crazy lady who's going to kill you and you got to get out of there soon. And you have to literally drop your legs from your bed to the floor, chat. Not a carpet, by the way. Hardwood floors. And boom, imagine that pain. Imagine that pain. He goes, like, again, I don't think James Caan gets enough credit for this role, but just the physicality he had to bring to it, just like someone who couldn't use their body, for a lot of the movie. That's pretty impressive. Thank you, Chris, for the 10 biddies. Zach Stentz, the guy who wrote the first Thor and X-Men First Class, had a great quote when Robert Pattinson got cast Batman. The internet enabled a million Annie Wilkes to think that they knew better than people actually creating things. That's funny, man. Well, but it could also prevent them from, capturing their favorite writer and torturing them for, a good, 4 months, however long Paul Sheldon is there. And so, Chad, he just crawls. He just fucking, using one arm, actually, just crawls, using his other broken wing of an arm, Chad, to crawl to the door. He's sweating profusely, Chad, because, when you're in horrible pain. Your body starts to perspirate. And he tries to get to the door, but it's locked. He's like, fuck. And he is not going well for him at this point, chat. Not going great. He's got to escape at this point, but he just can't. He's not able to. Eventually, we cut back to Buster, chat. He calls the publisher because he was actually in a helicopter earlier, chat, in the day, and they noticed on the ground, chat, where the snow has finally started to melt. They see a part of Paul Sheldon's 1965 Mustang, chat, his car, and he calls the publisher. He calls the FBI, the state police, and they go there. They have a big press conference saying that, we didn't find Paul Sheldon in the crash. We suspect, due to the severity of the storm and the conditions, he may have died of exposure. But again, with how deep the snowfall is, we won't know until the next thaw. But Buster, he's like, I just don't believe that, because he goes to the car, chat, and he notices the crowbar marks where someone, like, the car door was opened up from the outside. And Virginia's wife is like, you don't think he's dead, do you? She's like, I don't think he's dead, but I don't know what happened. But that didn't come from the inside. Someone dragged him from there. So he's suspecting, chat. He's like, nah, there's more to this. It's not that cut and dry like the state police and the FBI are doing. He tells the publisher, listen, I'm going to be on the lookout. You feel free to call anytime. I'll inform you. Buster's a great character, Chad. He's such a goddamn good guy. Eventually, Chad, we cut back to the Wilkes home. Paul Sheldon's on the fucking floor, and he comes to, and she's like, oh, you poor thing. He's like, he's sweating everything. She's like, here, let me help you up. Oh, you fell down. She's like, okay, stop screaming. Because he's like, like his fucking, legs and feet are all messed up. She's like, she lifts him back into bed, and she goes, Paul, I've been doing a lot of thinking. And, I'm ready to forgive you. I'm ready to forgive you for what you did. And he's like, what? What? I'm ready to forgive you for what happened. And I have a special surprise for you. Surprise for you, but I need you to do something for me first. He's like, can I have a snack first, like some cheese or crackers or something? Let's imagine Chris is going to do this to Corey. This is what's going to happen. Corey, I just have a few ideas, but you just got to do something first. That would be a funny skit. That'd be a wonderful animated skit or a piece of fan art, chat. That'd be fucking hilarious. Let's do that. Oh, my God. But she's like, you have to do something for me first, Paul. And he's like, okay. And she's like, I'll be right back. And I have a surprise for you afterwards. And he's like, all right. And so she brings in this barbecue grill, chat, this charcoal grill. And he's like, I prefer something like maybe cheese and crackers or something. She takes it off, chat, and what's on top of the fucking grill? His manuscript, along with his little satchel. And she goes, Paul, I've been thinking about this, and, there's a way for you to repent for what you did. I was thinking, and all these people have always told me what to do in my life, but the one person I always go back to tell me what needs to be done is God. And I prayed to God so hard when I was driving, and he enlightened me, Paul. And he said, you can bring misery back. You can write your magnum opus, The Return of Misery, Misery's Return. And he's like, Annie, you want me to write a book about her return? She's like, yeah, it'd be wonderful. It's the thing that will bring her new life. She'll live forever. And he's like, you want me to do that? And what do you want me to do with this? He's like, well, before you start writing, God spoke to me, and he said, you have to burn this filth. You have to get rid of this filth. It shouldn't be seen by anyone. And Paul's trying to save his book at this point, because he spent weeks, months writing this, probably thinking of this idea for years. He's like, Annie, listen, I can destroy this manuscript, but it's already, it's in New York right now. It's already sent there. It's being looked at by my publisher. Multiple copies have been made. And she's like, oh, Paul, now I know that you're so superstitious and that you always come to the Silver Creek Lodge every single time to write your latest novel. And because you're so superstitious, you always write on the same typewriter. And you always have one copy, and you always take it back to New York. So we both know that this is the only manuscript there is. And he's just looking at her like, fuck. She's like, I know, because I'm your biggest fan. And he's like, oh my God. She's like, and he gives him the match, chat, and she puts kerosene on the manuscript. And he's like, Annie, listen, no, I won't publish. I won't publish it. Okay, this is this. I wrote this for me. I wrote this for me. And she's like, "Oh, Paul, why? Come on now." And she just starts pouring the kerosene all over his bed, Chet. She's like, someone's gonna be lit on fire here. Either that goddamn manuscript or you. And she's just throwing here. It's just like, Paul, this is what you have to do. This is what's necessary to bring about Misery's return. And he's like, holy fucking shit, she's gonna set me on fire. And she's like, now, you know what to do. And if you don't, then I know what I need to do. And he's like, shit. And he lights it up, Chad, and he throws it on the goddamn grill. Boom, the whole manuscript goes out. She's like, oh, heaven to Betsy. Heaven to Betsy. Oh, jeez. And he's like, oh, God. Like, that was like something he was so passionate about, Chad, just destroyed. Something completely fucking destroyed, Chad. And it just kills him, just fucking kills him at this point. No, it's just not going very well at this point. He's like, fuck this, because okay, I gotta escape out of here because I gotta write this goddamn book of hers, and I can't be this way. It can't be this way. I have to escape. And so she brings him his meal after this scene, chat, and she puts down the 2 pills, these little orange capsules, chat, that like painkillers basically. And he realizes, oh wait a minute, I could poison this goddamn crazy broad, and he takes the pills out, chat. Sees the powder, takes a bit of paper, as she gave him, chat, for any writing ideas. Thank you guys for the 5 biddies. Come on, boys. Misery, misery, misery. That's what you've chosen. It's so true. Absolutely goddamn true. And so he creates like a little cup, chat, a little pamphlet. Ooh, I'm Mr. Snow. Thank you guys for the 5 biddies. And I want to thank, we have a new follower, Keith C84, Keith C84, thank you for following my new Huckleberry and my new Grinch. And we like Grinches here. Welcome to stream. Hope you're enjoying the Misery review so far. It's been a fun one. So he gets his meal, chat. Looks all generic looking food too. She's not a good cook, I can tell you that much. You get your peas, you get your weird goddamn noodles, and like a really shitty looking chicken dish. But he has the pills, chat, and he carries like a little pamphlet he like folds into like an envelope, and he starts pouring all the pill powder in there. Because he knows, he's like, okay, if I can poison her, I can escape somehow, or maybe get to the phone or something. Like that's my next thing I'm going to do. Then it's like the next day, chat, and Annie has a good surprise for him, chat. She got him a wheelchair, and he's like, oh, wonderful. I always wanted to see this other side of the room. He's like, oh, you fooler, you. Always so funny with your jokes. She's like, no, I wanted to get you in this wheelchair so you can have this. And she takes him to his little writing space, which is still in his bedroom. And she's like, here, I bought this typewriter and I got a good deal for it. It's missing an N, but, I was telling the clerk that N is one of the letters in my favorite author's name. She's like, why the fuck would you say that? This is weird shit. And, he's like, okay, I'll play along. He's like, well, N happens to be 2 letters in my favorite nurse's name. She's like, oh, you flirt, you. And she's like, I also bought you this typing paper. It's the best kind they have on stock. I did my research. And Paul's like, okay, here's my opportunity. I gotta trick this crazy bitch. And he goes, oh, this typewriter, Annie, this wheelchair, it's great, but the paper, that's the one thing that I don't know if I can use. And she's like, why? And he's like, well, let me show you. Let me show you. Here, he puts in the typewriter, and he's like, this kind of paper, it's very, kind of has a little oil to it. There's a little oil to it, Annie. And look, it smudges. She's like, it smudges? And she's like, yeah, let me show you. And he types in SMUDGE, chat, smudge. And he's like, hey, look. And he puts his thumb to it, chat, and it smudges. And she goes, oh, yeah, look at that. It is a little oily, isn't it? And he goes, well, I know you want this to be the best it could possibly be right now. And it'll just help if you actually buy this other type of paper. It would mean the world to me. And she goes, okay, I'll get you your paper. Okay, I'll do that. And maybe I'll come back and I'll get you a pair of writing slippers. Would that be okay? He goes, Annie, no, you don't need to do that. She's like, well, you know what? Maybe I should just go to the whole goddamn store and bring it back to you. And he's like, Annie, listen, I just need a particular brand of paper. It's okay. It's no big deal. And she goes, no, I want to bring it back for you, Mr. Man. And she takes the paper and fucking slams on his leg. She goes, ah! And she's like, I'll be right back. And you better treat me with some goddamn respect. And she says some gosh darn respect. And she leaves the home. She drives back up there. And he's like, oh, fuck you, you crazy bitch. And he gets out. I summon Exodia. Exactly. Dances the fear of the way. Oh, but she also notices, chap, When she leaves, she dropped a bobby pin in her hair. So he grabs that fucking shit. He's like, okay, I don't know if this is actually gonna work. And he goes, thankfully he has a mode of transportation now, chat. And he goes to the door and he manages to open it. He manages to open it. And he just starts to wheel himself around the house, chat. He goes, phone. And he goes to the phone, chat, picks it up. He's like, there's no fucking dial tone. He picks up the phone. There's all the innards have been taken out of it, chat. This has been sucked out. And he goes, crazy fucking bitch. He puts the phone back on there, chat, and he sees this one book, which will be very important later on in the movie, chat, says Memory Lane. He's like, I got no time for reading about Memory Lane. And he wheels himself around, chat. She has all these fucking knickknacks. It's like a grandma's house by looks at his house, this old floral wallpaper, chat. It's already peeling off and things like that. All these like random knickknacks like no one needs. And while he's wheeling by, chat, there's this little penguin figurine. He knocks it off. He goes, oh shit! But he catches it at the very last second. Checks it like very. He's like, whoo! And he puts it back, chat. But he puts it back in a different position. That penguin was always facing due south, and now it's facing north. I wonder if anyone will notice that one. And he continues to wheel himself around, chat. Goes to the pantry and he sees all the drugs up there. Sees the orange pills as well. He grabs like a shit ton of them, chat, make sure they kind of look the same. He's like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, they don't make this anymore. What the hell is this? She'd be OCD. And he puts them in his crotch, chat. That's his keepsake, chat. The crotch is where he stores everything, chat. Hold him the scrotum. That's what you gotta do, man. That's what you gotta do. It's prison rules going on right now. You gotta put up your bum. And he puts it up his bum, chat, and he starts to wheel himself out. But he's like, I can get to the kitchen. There's another door because the front door, chat, is locked. He's like, fuck. But he goes to the back door. Kitchen, but he can't get to the kitchen, chat. The wheelchair is too wide. And so he's like, I gotta lower myself down. He's like, and his legs are still fucked up. They're like linguini. They are swollen purple Muppet linguini legs, chat. And he crawls to the kitchen and he goes to the door. He's like, that one's locked too. He's like, fuck. But then, chat, oh no, because Annie is a coming. She's a coming home, chat. That's not a goddamn good sign. That's not good. And he's like, oh shit, he's panicking. But when the music in this movie, very subtle, but it's great. It's so, because now it's just pure goddamn panic at this point, chat. And he's just dragging himself back to the chair as fast as he possibly can, chat. Lifts himself up, wheels himself out, and knocking everything over. Goes inside his room, makes sure the door's locked again, chat. And he's just fucking sweating. And all this time, like, Annie's making her way to the house, chat. She drops some of the paper accidentally on the steps, and that buys him a little more time. But he manages to get in there, just soaked with fucking sweat at this point, chat. And he's just like, oh, she's just about to open the door, chat. But he looks down and he sees the pills are right in his crotch. He fell out. He's like, oh shit. He goes, oh! He covers them up like this. He's like, oh no, my taint, no. And he's just like, oh, Paul, what's wrong with you? You are perspiring by a great amount. He goes, you goddamn well know why I'm like this. He's like, Paul, what's wrong? He's like, my pills, Annie. I need my pills. And she's like, well, I'll get your pills in just a second. Let me get you back to bed. She approaches him, Chad, and if she lifts him, she'll notice the pills. She's like, no, Annie, please, just make the pain go away, Annie. I need you. And she's like, oh, you poor thing. You poor thing. I'll be right back. And she goes, gets his pills. She stuffs that shit in his balls, puts it in his ball sack, chat. And then eventually, she puts him back in bed, and he's got the pills, and he starts just pouring all these goddamn things in that little pamphlet, chat, just one after the other. But his second escape attempt sadly does indeed fail, chat. Now, he spends the remainder of his days, chat, just trying to figure out how to write this misery novel. The first thing he writes in the goddamn page, chat, is fuck her, fuck her, fuck her, fuck her, over and over and over again. Which to me felt like almost like a little reference, an homage to The Shining with Jack Nicholson's Jack Torrance character, chat. Like, like no work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. I was like, I kind of felt like that in a way. I thought that was pretty funny. But he writes that, and he starts just typing away, chat. But then, fucking Annie Wilkes, chat, she's a harsh critic. She's a very harsh critic. And she goes, Paul, I'm sorry, but this is just not acceptable. And he's like, well, what's going on? It's like, you're starting as if the events of the previous book didn't happen. You're writing over all that. Like, as we know, as we all know, misery was buried. That was the very ending of your last book. And he goes, listen, how I'm writing this, in the environment that I'm writing in, you can't expect for something to, the best thing ever. She's like, that's what I expect. Paul. That's what I expect from you. And he's like, okay, all right. And she's like, let me give you an example, Paul. Let me give you an example of what you're trying to do, okay? I've seen it before, time and time again from lesser writers, and you are not a lesser writer, Paul. When I was a child, I used to go see these movie serials all the time when I was a little girl, and my favorite one was Rocket Man. And this particular episode, well, I was with a big crowd of people, and we saw Rocket Man, and he was tied up in the car by the villains, by the bad guys, and they tied him up, and we saw the car go over a ravine and explode in a bright ball of fire, and he was dead. And I was like, whoa, well, I want to see what the repercussions of that. So I was first in line. Then I knew the next year was coming up a month from now, and I was anticipating it over and over and over again. I was so excited to see it. And that was the first one line, and we got in there, and the serial started. But then all of a sudden, it started to play, and Rocket Man, we cut inside the car, and he jumps out at the last minute before the car barrels over, and everyone in the crowd cheered. But then I fucking stood up and said, can you believe it? This was what you cheering for. They cheated us. We didn't see him get out of the cock-a-doodle car. And Paul's just like, oh, okay. And she's like, now, you know that you can't have any cock-a-doodle nonsense here. Start over, write it right. And he's like, oh, okay. Oh my God, she's George Lucas if you completely embrace the dark side. Yeah, Rocket Man. So no, not that one. Not that one. It was a different Rocket Man. And so he starts writing this novel, Chad, and much to Annie's liking. You know, he came up with this whole scenario. Apparently, Annie had a fucking bee sting, and the gravedigger, who he named after Annie Wilkes. She's like, you can keep that, and I like that, naming me after the gravedigger in the novel. But he wrote a whole thing where she had a bee sting, and apparently when the gravedigger was burying her, he heard her breathing, her rasping breathing. He's like, and she had allergic reaction, so people thought she died, but she didn't really die, and that connects her to this character. It's just a stupid fucking just scenario he came up with just to please her. It's like, if we read, if this is in a movie, we're like, what the fuck is this? This is awful writing, but she loves it, Chet. She loves it because she's a fan. She's a fan, Chet. And she's like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And then he spends, Chet, the next several weeks writing this goddamn thing. And, you know, because Paul Sheldon's like, hey, Annie, you know, the book is just going so great. You know, we should honestly, we should just have a really quality dinner just celebrating Misery's return. And she's like, oh, Paul, that sounds wonderful. I'm going to make my famous meatloaf for you. Oh, it'll be great. He goes, that sounds great, Annie. That sounds great. But he's prepping Chet to poison her with the pills. He's been has a whole bunch of them in this packet, and he's tested. They have no scent, and they dissolve pretty quickly in liquid. So it's like, oh, good, they'll be disguised. And so she sets up this whole dinner for him right in the living room, Chat. And she has the wine, the meat. I love the conversation because she's like, oh, this meatloaf, oh boy, couldn't get something like this in New York. She's like, oh, thank you so much. Oh, no, what I do is I use real tomatoes, and I mix a little Spam in there to give it some of that zip. And he goes, Spam? Wow. Doesn't want to fucking upset her, Chat. Well, I got some good old Spam in there. And you know, he's like, hey, let's have a toast. She's like, to Misery, to return. She's like, oh, Paul, that's wonderful. That's so romantic. And he's like, yeah. Here, I'll pour you some wine. He pours a little too much for you. She goes, oh, stop it. You stop it. You're going to get me drunk and tipsy. I don't know what I'll end up doing. And he's like, yeah, I'll pour myself some. And he goes, you know what? Before we make this toast, let's do this properly. Do you have any candles? Any candles that we can light up and have a proper toast? And she goes, well, oh, heaven to Betsy, I think I do. He's like, oh, if you don't have any. She's like, no, I'm gonna go get some candles. I'll be right back. And she goes in the kitchen. She's like, I'm gonna poison this fucking crazy bitch. Grabs your fucking wine glass, Chad, pours the pill powder in there and goes, mixes up a little bit. Perfect. Yeah, success. And she comes back, Chad. She has the candle and everything. And she sets it down right in front of them. And he's like, hey, to Misery. And she's like, oh, to Misery. But she knocks over the candle, Chat, and she spills her wine all over the place. And he's just like, no, I've spent weeks collecting that pill powder. She's like, oh, no, Paul. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Now, people are like, kind of back and forth with this, like, did she actually know that he poisoned her drink, or did she just was completely unaware? Did she know, or did she not know? People have kind of debated this for a long time. Alex Bernal, welcome back to the stream. Doing great, man. One of my favorite films of all time, Misery. It's so good. Happy to have you here right now. Kind of came in just the middle portion. And she's like, oh, Paul, I'm so sorry. Here, I'll pour myself another one. can you ever forgive me? And he goes, huh, of course, to Misery. And it's to his misery. She gets the what it really is, chat. The movie's title is not referring to the character of Misery. It's his own misery in this goddamn situation he lives in. They drink. And then, Chad, he spends the rest of just weeks, months, right? Colorado winters are long, Chad. He spends the next several months writing this book and just living in his own misery, writing about misery, Chad. It's like, it's a metaphor. Yeah, it's great. So he does that. And then, chat, he's finishing. He's almost done with the book at this point. And Annie comes in, chat, but she's not her usual cheery self. She's like, here are your pills. Her hair's all undone. She's wearing a bathrobe. Looks like shit. And he goes, Annie, everything going okay? And she goes, oh, it's the rain. It's the rain outside. And he looks at the rain. It's pouring rain, chat. Thank you. Thank you so much for the 5 minutes. He ain't gonna walk right after this. Yeah, we'll see, Chad. We shall see very soon. But this is the part of the movie where it's like she's insane, but the movie makes an attempt for you to sympathize with her. But there comes a point where it's like, okay, fuck this crazy bitch. But I do like the movie. It's like, God, I do sympathize with her and what she's going through. Like she's clearly sick, but she's I just love the movie. It makes you question how you feel about her character, Chad. And again, Kathy Bates just sells the goddamn performance, Chad. She does an excellent job. And she says, it's the rain. It just, makes me feel blue sometimes and just makes me think about certain things, my husband when he left me and my job and how I just didn't have any friends there. It was always so hard for me to make friends, Paul. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry about that, Annie. She goes, oh, I know you don't really care. And he's like, what? He's like, I know you're almost finished with your book. And I know that you don't want to be here anymore. Because she's like always denying these things, the obvious truth. And he's like, no, Annie, I really like it here. She goes, that's very nice of you to say. But we both know that's not true. And she takes out her gun and she pulls out a goddamn 6-shooter. She pulls out a revolver. She's like, I keep this gun on me sometimes. Sometimes I think about using it. Maybe on myself or maybe other people. I'm going to leave right now. And she goes out of the room, chat. And she just goes to her car. She just drives away. He's like, fuck! I got to get out of here. Because the book's almost done, chat. He knows if I finish that goddamn book, she's going to kill herself and probably kill me. Probably kill me first. She's like, I have to get the hell out of here. Or I got to kill her. He's like, I got to kill her at this point. It's kill or be killed. And so he wheels himself out. He has a little, the bobby pin, chat, gets out of there. And he's like, I got to find myself a weapon. Thank you, Darkslayer, for the 5 biddies. I hate the rain. It's wet, slippery, and it gets everywhere. That's a good one, my friend. Cheers to that one. Cheers to that one, Darkslayer. Oh, do you think she knew? Kimberly, I think she knew. I think she knew because based on the scene, it's about to happen just in a bit, and I'll explain it because she plays dumb, she plays like hokey, but she's much smarter than she typically lets on. Because she's a psychopath. I really do believe that she knew what he was trying to do, but she just denies and she keeps suppressing everything. At least I like to think that. Some people could say no, it was just an accident. It just seemed just after all this whole thing made a big deal. It just all happens to knock everything over. It's like. We'll get to it. We'll get to that part in the movie. But he goes out into the kitchen. He grabs a fucking goddamn kitchen knife, chat, like Michael Myers stabby stab knife. He's going to stab her. Going to stab her in the tum-tum, chat. And he's wheeling himself back in the room, but he notices in the living room, chat, memory lane. He notices the book Memory Lane is open. And he goes over to a chat, and he sees his face in there. And it's all the clippings. It's all the clippings from, like, the newspaper, Paul Sheldon missing, Paul Sheldon suspected dead, search called off, and he's like, holy shit. And he's like, what the? And he goes to the front of the book chat, sees these pictures of Annie, and this is the reveal, chat. It's a fantastic fucking reveal. All these clippings about all these mysterious deaths during when Annie was in medical school, chat, nursing school. Star student dies. Star student commits suicide. Star student poison. Like all these people, like male, female, chat, pass over. Like doctor, head nurse, found dead, overdose, pill overdose. Goes to next one, chat about Annie Wilkes, nurse promoted to head of, and this one is fucked up. Promoted to newborn wing of this one of the most prestigious Colorado hospitals, chat in Denver. And page after page after page of dead infants, chat. She's killed babies, asphyxiation, sudden asphyxiation, she's killed dozens, if not hundreds of people throughout her entire, it's her victim diary, basically. It's her serial killer diary, chat. Her trophies of all the people she killed until it finally gets to some other stuff. Of nurse suspected of foul play, suspected in child's death, suspected in newborn's death, and it goes to this one newspaper clipping of when she was on trial, chat. She was jailed, she was tried, but they didn't have enough evidence to convict her. And there's this one line in it, chat. I always like to quote it. There is a higher justice than that of man, and I will be judged by him. That's a very important goddamn line, chat. It's a very important line. It's from one of Paul Sheldon's novels. This is what Misery says during Misery's trial. And he's reading all, he's like, holy shit. Oh my God. And he closes the book, chat. He puts it back where it was, or no, he just puts it back where it was on the page. And he goes back to his bed, and he practices using the knife. He's keeping it in his sling, and he goes, ah! Like, ah! So when she comes near his bed, he'll stab the shit out of her, chat. And eventually, he sees the car come back. He hears her walk in the house, chat, and just stops at the front of his door, but doesn't come in, chat. Sees her shadow underneath the door, the slit, but she just walks off, and eventually he's like, oh shit, I'm gonna go. He goes to sleep. And then, Chad, you always get that feeling, Chad, when you're sleeping or something, you're half asleep, but you see there feels like the presence in the room. He has, and he wakes up, and he sees Annie right above him, and he goes, oh! And she has like a syringe, Chad, and she injects it right into his arm. He goes, and he goes to sleep. And eventually, he hears her voice. He hears her voice, Chad. He goes, Paul, wake up, sleepyhead. And he's like, she goes, oh, Paul. How are you doing? And he goes, hey, Annie, what's going on? What's up? And he feels like he can't move, and he notices she has put bonds all around his body, chat, like belts. She's roped him into his bed, legs, arms, everything. He can't fucking move. Also, I should say, chat, like he's been doing strength training when she's not been in the room, so he's been lifting the typewriter off. So even though he can't use his lower body, his legs have been healing, chat, because he's been there for months. And he's also been doing strength training to help his arms. He's been lifting the typewriter every single day, chat, doing multiple reps. So he's getting stronger. She doesn't know why. Because he shouldn't be. His muscles should be atrophying because he's not moving around all that much. And he's like, Annie, why did you do this? Why'd you do this? He goes, oh, Paul, you know why. And he's like reaching for, because he put the knife, he created like a little slit in the bed in the mattress to put the knife. And he's trying to get it out, Chad. He's like, oh, are you looking for this? And he goes, oh, shit. She goes, you know what? I was thinking, I didn't understand how you were able to get out that first time. But then I discovered your key. And he's like, Annie, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, yes, you do, Paul. And I knew how you got out that first time. My penguin always faces due south. And I noticed he was turned due north when I got home. And I thought that was unusual. And he's, yes, OCD chat, she remembers every detail. And he's just like, Annie, come on. She goes, listen, you're not going to leave here, Paul. You have to finish the book. You have to do it for Misery. We both have to do it for Misery. And I got to ensure that you can't go off on these little excursions like you always do. And she's like, I'll be right back. And she comes chat, and she gets this block of goddamn wood, and she puts it between it. This scene will fuck you up. Horrifying. This is one of the scariest moments in any movie ever to me. It's like, oh my God. Puts this block of wood in between his ankles, chat, like right in between them. She puts it right there. She's like, Paul, have you ever heard of the procedure called hobbling? And he's like, and he's like, well, it's a thing that the South African miners used to do to the indigenous people. Obviously, these people, they were stealing the diamonds, but they couldn't afford to, to kill them. And they didn't kill them, silly. They didn't do that. No. Well, they had to keep working, obviously. And they invented this thing called hobbling. And what they did was, well, I'll just show you. She puts the block of wood right between his feet and she grabs a sledgehammer. She had to make sure that they had to make sure they kept working. And, that they couldn't get away. And she's like, grabs the goddamn sledgehammer. And she's like, I'll show you right now. She's like, Addie, please. She's like, shh, it's all going to be over very soon. I love you. And then, and she slams it against his goddamn, and the ankle check goes, the foot just goes, he goes, yeah! And she's like, shh, it's all going to be over soon. Just one more. And he goes, and he goes, he's just screaming, chat. So he ain't using those legs anytime soon. And she's like, oh, I know it hurts, I know. But God, I love you. And he's like, and she leaves the room. She leaves the room. Anyway, he got noodle legs forever. Noodle legs forever, chat. He never walking again. Oh, no. In the novel, chat. So in the original novel, Stephen King had Misery cut off his feet. That's what Annie cut off his feet, not Misery. Has him cut off his goddamn feet, chat. Takes an axe to him, chat. Has little fucking stubs. It's like, good Lord. And Rob Reiner said, like, listen, I think that might be a little too extreme. And this is almost worse, because we've kind of seen people taking off the legs being cut off, but like the hobbling thing is just like, it's so weird and bizarre, and just you see the ankle just go like that, and the foot just go complete opposite direction it's not supposed to go in. It's horrifying. But in the original Stephen King novel, she cuts his feet off. Horrific shit. But anyway, after that happy scene, we cut back. We cut back to Buster, chat. The search has been called off, but he still can't get Paul Sheldon out of his head at this point, chat. He's just been thinking about it, and there's just more to it. It's not this cut and dry. And he buys all the Misery books, and his wife's asking, why are you buying all these books for? He goes, well, if I'm not able to find Paul Sheldon, I at least want to know what he wrote about to kind of get an idea of who he was as a person. So he reads all these books, chat, and he notices one time he was on the Misery's trial. He notices this one quote because he heard it before. He's heard this quote before, but he doesn't quite remember it. He's like, I heard someone say this. I remember reading it somewhere, but I don't remember. And it's a quote, chat, that I read you before. There's a higher justice greater than that of man, and I will be judged by him. And he writes it down, chat, and he puts it through his services, as you know, the little sticky note, chat, in his office. And he just thinks about this. And one time, he's at the sheriff's office, chat, just thinking, and he sees Annie Wilkes coming into town, chat. Sees Annie Wilkes coming into town. She's almost runs into a goddamn car, even though that person had the right of way, and she's like, "You cock-a-doodie!" She's very aggressive, chat, and she pulls and parks right in front of the convenience store. Witness! Oh, Jesus, God, witness me. Sweaty Perry, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing very well today, Sweaty Perry. What were you playing? What were you doing? I'm curious. I'm just in the middle of my review for Misery, Rob Reiner's 1990 Stephen King adaptation. Oh, it's so good. No, Witness. No, happy to have you, my friend. Witness, my friend. Oh, he's your friend, Mr. Hamner. Thank you. Thank you for suggesting him to raid me. That's very kind. Well, welcome, Sweaty. Chat, you go ahead and take a look at Sweaty's content as well. I hope you do. So thank you so much, my friend. Thank you so much. So very kind. Got a lot of support tonight, chat. Thank you. But get back to the movie in hand, chat. So she nearly hits a goddamn car, chat. You cock-a-doodie! And Sheriff Buster, he's just laughing. He's just like, oh, God, Annie, very, very odd person. What? Mr. Grinch, you really are here. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Sweaty for the fall. That was so kind of you. Oh, my God. You're my new Huckleberry. And Mr. Hummendinger resubscribing. 15 months, over a year. Mr. Hummendinger, thank you so much. 4 months. We got a 4-month-old Twitch baby, chat. The Twitch baby is adorable. You just want to smooch him. Thank you so much, friend. That's so kind. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Sweaty Perry, for the follow. Chat, please do check out Sweaty Perry's content. I got to check that out myself. I'll be sure to follow you after I finish my stream tonight, my friend. Thank you. But chat, back to the business at hand. So she pulls into the convenience store, and the two guys in the vehicle that she almost hit, They're like, you crazy bitch. He's like, you poop. I love it. She calls them, you poop. She doesn't swear. And it always stuck with me, Chad. And fucking Buster's just laughing at the situation. You poop. It's so funny. But then he's just like, He's thinking about Annie Wilkes shit. Thinking about Annie Wilkes and her history. And he's like, there's more to this. And he goes back to his desk chat. Goes back to his desk. Oh no, he goes over to the convenience store because he wants to go talk to the clerk chat at the store. Wants to ask him a question. And he goes, hey, I know that Annie Wilkes just came in. Just wanted to ask. Oh, by the way, like in the scene, the clerk is stacking all these VHS tapes, and they're all tapes of Rob Reiner's previous films. So you get When Harry Met Sally and The Princess Bride and Spinal Tap. Like all those are prominently featured on that. I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, that's cool. Rob Reiner, what a incredible director, Chad. All films all feel very different from each other. Very unique filmmaker. Hey, Nate, welcome to the stream. I'm doing very well, man. Is reviewing Misery right now. And so he goes in there, he wants to ask the clerk. He's like, hey, I know that Miss Wilkes just came by. He goes, oh, yeah, you saw that. He's like, yeah, I did. I just wanted to ask you, has she been buying anything odd lately? He goes, nothing particular, just the usual things. Well, except if you, if you say paper is an odd thing to buy. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, she's been buying a lot of this paper. He's like newspaper? He's like, nah, the typing kind. A lot of it, usually every week or so. And he goes, oh, okay, thank you for letting me know. She's like, is Miss Wilkes in trouble? And he goes, no, not at all. And he goes to his office chat, and he's looking for the sticky note with the quote on it. And he's asking Virginia, and he's like, where's the sticky note? And she goes, you don't keep any order here. There's no filing system. No, I have a system. I know where it is. And he finds it. He goes, there it is. He goes, well, I'm glad you found what you want. And he goes, you see, that's the kind of spice I always like to have in our marriage chat. Even though they bicker, chat, I just love the chemistry between these two actors. Would have actually liked more scenes with them. They're very, very good. Very, very good. And he goes to the public library there, chat, and he goes to the newspaper section. And he opens to the cases with Annie Wilkes, chat, and he finds the quote in there, chat. There's a higher justice greater than that of man. I will be judged by him. He's like, this crazy bitch has him, doesn't he? I love it, chat. I love it. And so he drives up to the goddamn, the Wilkes farm, chat, Annie Wilkes' residence. And Paul Sheldon, he's just fucking sitting there miserable and shit. Annie Wilkes is outside like, how you doing, sweetie? And he's like, He's not even fucking around anymore. He's just like, fuck you, bitch, fuck you. She gets inside and everything's just sitting there miserable. But then, Chad, he sees the sheriff's car pulling up. He's like, oh. And then she fucking busts down the goddamn door like the Kool-Aid man, like, oh yeah. He's like, no. And she grabs him, Chad, and she injects him. He tries to choke her. She's like, fuck you goddamn dumb bitch. But she puts the syringe in him, Chad. He's like, and he goes to sleep. And she takes the wheelchair, she takes him, chat, she puts him down in the basement. She's like, I do everything for you. I feed you. I clean you. Oh, and this is the thanks I get. This is the thanks I get for everything I've done for you. Shame on you, Paul. Shame on you. And then as we cut a wonderful editing job here, chat, because we're constantly cutting back and forth to Sheriff Buster going up the stairs, chat, to the porch. And eventually, he's about to knock on the door, and then Annie opens, and she goes, oh, heavens, I'm so sorry, you scared me. He goes, oh, how you doing, Miss Wilkes? And she's like, oh, well, no, it's good to see you, Sheriff. What can I do for you? I guess you can tell, she's laying on thick, though, Chase, you can tell from my expression, I just didn't expect to see you here. He goes, yeah. He's like, oh, well, just wanted to stop on by, doing a little look-see into some people's residences, if you don't mind. We heard that stuff about Paul Sheldon. Just wanted to see if you knew anything about it, if you don't mind. And she's like, oh, no, of course not. It broke my heart when I heard about him. I happen to be his biggest fan. He's like, oh, are you now? She's like, oh, please come in. Let me show you. And she shows her fucking altar to Paul Sheldon, like all the books. And she's like, she knows exactly what to say. It's like, I love Paul Sheldon so much. He's such a talent. Love the Misery novels. And I don't know, for some reason, I just thought that I could write those novels as well. Continue on with the story of Misery and, in a way, make him feel like he was alive, like those characters that he brought such life to. But, I've been buying all this paper, and I bought this typewriter, and I've tried my best. I mean, it's been a good hobby. I just can't seem to do it as good as Paul Sheldon once did. And he's looking all around the house, chat, just like, that's great. Looking at any other sign of life for the possibly Paul Sheldon being here. Goes in the kitchen, goes to the bedroom, chat, and everything. She's like, oh, you want me to go ahead and fix you a cup of cocoa? And he's like, you know what, that would be great. That'd be great. And he's looking through all the house, chat. He's like, this bitch is fucking lying. He just suspects something, chat. But eventually he finds nothing. And he's about to leave. And she's like, oh, but you forgot about your cocoa. And he goes, I'm sorry, Miss Wilkes. I got to check a few more houses. I'll get a rain check. And he goes, well, she's like, well, you be sure to stop here anytime. And he'll be a nice piping hot cup of cocoa for you. He's like, thank you, Miss Wilkes. Thank you. And he leaves, chat. But then fucking Paul Sheldon, he's coming to. He's like, and he's screaming, chat, doing everything he can. But he notices the grill. Right there where he burned his manuscript before. And he turns it fucking over. All this stuff comes crashing down the basement. And Sheriff Buster hears it. He goes, what the hell was that? He turns around, he goes, Miss Wilkes? Miss Wilkes? He goes inside the house. Are you okay? Are you all right? And then he hears something. Help me! I'm down here! Just screaming. He goes, what the hell? And the basement, chat, it's like this fake door. And so he presses on it. It's like a secret passage. Maybe that's what you put over other victims. And he opens it, chat, and he sees right directly in front of him, chat, right down the stairs, Paul Sheldon. He goes, help me! And then Buster's like, Mr. Sheldon? And then boom! Fucking chest just explodes out in front of Buster, chat. And he hits the goddamn stairs, falls down, chat. Everything, big giant shotgun blast right through his back, chat. Right through his back. And Annie's just sitting there with the double barrel, chat, with the double barrel shotgun. And she goes, look what you made me do, Paul. And he's like, oh my God, I was so close. R.I.P. a good soul. Can we get some R.I.P.s to Buster, chat? And I want to give a lot of credit to this actor, chat, to goddamn Richard Farnsworth. He had a very long career, chat, very long career. Also, one of my favorite sports films of all time, The Natural, is great in that. Goddamn R.I.P., chat. He was a good man, chat. Oh, Jesus. Cheers and salute to good old Sheriff Buster, chat, Richard Farnsworth. He just wanted the sexy time. That's all he wanted. Well, she wanted the sexy time, too, even more than he did. But she's like, I knew this is what would happen, Paul. It was inevitable. And now I see that we both have to die. And she starts walking down the stairs, chat, with the gun, stepping over fucking Buster's dead body, chat. She has the gun and she has the syringe in hand. She's going to inject him and shoot herself. And he's like, I know we have to die. And she's like, huh? And he's like, I know these things because I love you, Annie. I love you. She's like, you love me? He's like, I love you so much, but I know it's our time. But the last thing that we can do is give Misery life for eternity, forever. The novel's almost done, Annie. I just need a few more hours and we can give her life. But she's like, but more will be coming. More will be coming soon. He's like, that's all I only need a few more hours and we can do it. We can do it. And then we can come to an end. She's like, well, I'll go make you something to eat. She goes up the fucking stairs, and he's like, oh! But he notices, chat, the kerosene. And the kerosene's right there. He grabs the kerosene bottle, chat, and puts it in his pants. Shoves it up his tuchus, chat, right up his butt. And he's like, all right, I got that. And we cut. And he's typing away on the goddamn thing, chat, typing away on the typewriter, making sure like he's almost done with it. And Annie, she's reading page after page, like, oh, Paul, this is beautiful. Oh, everything to do with Misery, and the person who's going to fight for his hand is going to be Ian or is it going to be Winthorpe? Oh, don't tell me, please. So you tell me. And he's like, oh, all shall be revealed very soon, my dear. All shall be revealed very soon. But do you have the things? She's like, of course. The champagne and a cigarette. Because he's like, yeah, because I stopped smoking years ago. I only have one. He's like, get that, but be sure to bring 2 glasses this time. And she's like, oh, of course. She puts the cigarette down, the match down, the champagne, the other glass. She gets a secondary glass, chat, and he has the page. It's already written. And he crumples the page up and everything, chat. And he takes the match and he waits for it. And she comes back. She goes, Paul, what are you doing? And he goes, you know that the mystery about who Misery's father is and who she eventually marries? And who's the true father of her child? It's all right here. All right here. And he fucking lights the match, chat, and sets it on fire. She's like, Paul, what are you doing? And he pours the kerosene down on the manuscript, chat, and he puts it in there and goes up in a blaze. And she's like, why? I learned it from you. Why are you crying? I learned it from you. And it all goes up in a blaze. She's like, no, not my misery. Not my misery. She's trying to put out the fire, chat, and he grabs the typewriter and goes, yeah. He slams it on her head, chat. She's like, ah. And, she falls to the goddamn floor. She pulls out the fucking... He's trying to wheel himself towards her, chat. But she pulls the pistol. Like, ah! And she fires him, chat. Bullet goes right in. She's like, ah! And she runs up on him. And she's like, you fucking cocksucker! She's like, ooh, you used a bad word, Annie. You used a very bad word. And he's like, ah! He's trying to fight her off, chat. And he starts gouging her eyes out. He's like, starts gouging her eyes until they're bleeding. He goes, ah! And eventually... he forces, she falls back, Chad. He hits her, she falls back again. And he wheels himself over to her, Chad. And he goes, yeah! And he ejects, and they just start fucking flailing on the ground. The choreography of this scene is amazing, Chad, because it feels so real as they're just flailing on the ground, these two people. And eventually, Chad, he moves her over to the smoldering ash pile of the manuscript. And he's like, here, you fucking want it? Eat it, you crazy fucking bitch! And just shoving her mouth. She's like, ooh, ooh. And she's, throws it, like she punches it. Oh no, she sticks her fucking finger in his wound or something. She's like, ah! And she gets up because she wants to go for the gun. Thank you, by the way. Oh, Jesus Christ. Active reload. Thank you for the follow. You're my Huckleberry and my new Grinch. We like Grinch here. And so, the whole thing's a goddamn chaos, chat. She gets up and he's like, ugh, she just wanted to get the gun, chat. So he takes his fucking leg and he sacrifices his legs yet again, chat. He swings his leg over to her, chat. Boom! Trips her, head hits the goddamn side of the typewriter, chat, knocks her out fucking cold. Dead. Looks like she's dead, chat. It's like, ooh, big old fucking divot in her head there, chat. And he's like, and he just starts dragging. He just starts dragging himself towards the door, chat. He says, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And then all of a sudden, she's on top of him, chat. She's like, she's just tearing at his goddamn hair. He's like, God fucking damn it. Just fighting each other, chat. Just punch her in the fucking face or punching each other, chat. And eventually he's going for this giant door stopper, chat, of this pig. This stone door stopper of a pig. He's like, I gotta get that pig. And he goes towards the pig. She's like, no! And he grabs it, chat, and he turns it over. He's like, and boom! Brains her, chat, right in front of her head. Like this, goes, and she falls on top of him, chat, dead. And he fucking forces her off of himself. He's like, just breathing, chat. And then we cut. 18 months later, chat, 18 months, and he's walking, although a little harder now, chat. He has a cane. I was like shocked he can even walk at this point. And he's walking into this New York restaurant, chat, this New York hotel and restaurant, where he's meeting his publisher, Lauren Bacall. She sits down. And he's published his book, chat, which is the one he burned. He rewrote it, chat, after his harrowing experience. And she goes, well, you'll be happy to know the critics are loving it. And he goes, that's good. And, apparently it's going to be selling out from all the stores. And he's like, that's great. She's like, I thought you'd be more excited. And he goes, I wrote the book for myself. And it was a hard one to write initially. But when I rewrote it, and it's going to sound crazy. And I'm like, oh boy, here it is. In a weird way, the time I spent with Annie Wilkes, it helped me find that inspiration. And inevitably, I think it led to an even better book. I think my best book. And she goes, Paul, listen, the publishers, they'd be furious if I didn't ask you this. But have you ever considered writing a nonfiction story about the stuff that went in that house, what had happened in that house? And he goes, you want me to relive the worst nightmare of my life? And he looks off to the side, chat, and we see Annie Wilkes there pushing a goddamn tray of desserts, chat, just coming at him, staring at him directly. And he goes, I just don't know if I can do that, but I sometimes think about her every once in a while and the things she did, but I just don't know if I could live through that again. And then the thing stops, chat, and it's a different woman, chat. It's a different woman. He imagined it was a hallucination. And she goes, and the waitress stops. She goes, Mr. Sheldon, I just saw you sitting there. I just had to stop and say, if you don't mind, I'm your number one fan. And he looks up at her and goes, it's very nice of you to say. And then, chat, the fucking title screen comes up, Misery. There you go, chat. That is my scene by scene breakdown, chat, of the Rob Reiner 1990 Academy Award winning horror thriller classic starring Kathy Bates and James Caan, Misery. And scene. God, I want to watch it. Do it. It's so good. It's on HBO Max, chat. It's on HBO Max. It's on Amazon Prime for free. Dun, dun, dun. Misery, misery, misery. That's what you've chosen. Yeah, good review. Thank you. No, I'm glad. I got a little time. I almost passed out. I was out of breath for part of that review, chat. Studio applause. Huzzah. That's it. That's how it ends. I wonder how it compares to the book. I like the book, Brightburn, but I think the movie's better. I do think the movie's better. Oh, how could Reiner make a North after that miserable? That's a good question. Yeah, man, you lose it after a while. You know, you're not able to do it. 5 Green Goblin miseries out of 5 Green Goblin miseries. Now, if they bring Kathy Bates as Norman Osborn Green Goblin, I will allow it. And my favorite movie too. Really, Dawson, your favorite movie? Nice, man. I love it. It's probably in my top 20 films. It's one I can watch anytime. It's so goddamn good. Danger Mouse, amazing. Thank you. That was a great review. Thank you, Deadpool. 5 out of 5 horny old lady. She was horny. She wanted it. Didn't give it to her though. I mean, gave her a fucking, brain aneurysm. I know the Forrest Gump film is better than the book. Oh yeah, that's what I've always heard. Never read the book, but I've always heard that. With Juicy Smollett. Maybe the Spider-Gwen verse. She's good. That would be awesome. Oh my God, yeah. No, Kathy Bates is Norman Osborn. Norma Osborn. I would be all for that. That'd be really cool if they want to do that. You want to gender bend more of the characters? Yeah, do that. Oh, that'd be awesome. Yes. 5 out of 5 burn blindside scripts. Oh boy, but I hope you enjoyed the review, chat. Like that's one of my favorites. It was great just talking about this film because I love it so goddamn much. Again, wonderful performances, impeccably well written, chat. So much you can do just with a house. I mean, I know it's shot in all the different locations, chat, but just the house is such a character and there's perfectly just establishes the aesthetic of Annie Wilkes' personality, chat. It's so good. This hokey, kind of good-natured feel, but underneath it, it's misery. Literally misery, chat. John, you get the 200 biddies. You just know Stephen King revealed in writing the manuscript scene. Yeah, I wrote the ending. I wrote such a good ending, best ending ever, and you never see it. That's what. Oh my God, you're right, Josh. You're right. It's like, the endings you wanted. Here you go, and he burns it. He's like, no, the ending we always wanted. He's like, well, I learned it from you. That's so true, Josh. That's so goddamn true. Oh my Lord. There's a lot of Stephen King in the Paul Sheldon character. There's no doubt about that. I think resentment maybe towards his fan base or his critics and things, and to his super fans, his number one fans. There's a lot of that there. 5 out of 5 Tupper whacks to the head. Yeah, chat, seriously, I highly recommend checking this film out. It's on HBO Max for free. It's on Amazon Prime for free. I own my Blu-ray copy. I own my own Blu-ray copy right here. It's so goddamn good. And we'll definitely do a watch party for this movie someday, chat. I mean, if we have it on HBO Max, that'd be really fun. We'll do a Misery watch party one day. Maybe we'll do a Stephen King watch party. That could be fun. Maybe we'll do a vote for what Stephen King films you want to do for a watch party. We'll do 3 in a row or something like that. Maybe we'll do that in October. Yeah, Chad. All these ideas percolating in my mind. But there you go, Chad. That was Misery. It's the very definition on the DT scale of a better than sex film, Chad. It's just so good. Oh boy, but I need to take a brief break. Got to refill my beverage. In the meantime, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves, and I shall return with my review of Batman Beyond Episode 10, chat. We're in the episode 10, the double digits, Spellbinder. It's a very good one, chat. Stick around.